wait, can we? We can't also wait to meet the cast of the Musketeers. Please welcome on stage with a big round of applause, first of all, to Luke Pascalino, Mamie McCoy, Howard Charles, and Santiago Cabrera.
Good evening.
Playing footsie already.
Yeah, we can carry it all night if you want. All night. I like your shoes. They're quite
Thank you
nice.
very much. They're
very
funky,
nice.
aren't they? You're all right there, Santiago?
I'm all right, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Are we all looking forward to this evening?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Are you guys looking forward to this evening?
Well, I mean, let's start.
What's up, people?
Really about. Let's start with the story. I mean, obviously, for you all as actors, it is all about the story. So when you first read the script, can I speak to you all in turn? What was it that you really loved about it? If I can start with you, Luke.
I mean, I'd always loved the story of the Musketeers anyway, and you know, I was a big fan of the cartoon D'Artagnan and the Muskehounds when I was a kid. So, kind of, yeah, there you go. So I was a big fan of that, and then kind of just to know that we were kind of telling such an amazing story over the course of 10 episodes, like 10-hour-long episodes, was a big draw for me, because obviously, you know, kind of previous interpretations have only been maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours long over the course of a film. So that was a big draw for me, which I really enjoyed, and as well as the script just being fun and exciting, you know.
Mamie?
Yeah, I thought there was loads of pace and wit to it, and it sparkled, that first one. I thought it really jumped off the page, and I kind of felt like, particularly with the women, there was a different angle there. I thought we were seeing them in a new light, which is always exciting, and I think that's carried on through.
Howard?
I think it had great potential. I think that's the first thing. You can see that it wasn't quite the finished article, and usually never is, but that's a good thing, because you can then move forward and collaborate to make it the best it can be, which I think for the most part we did and have done, and certainly strive to always, endeavor, and yeah, so I think that's the kind of key element for me, I would say, yeah, potential.
Yeah, I thought that it had great pace to it, and I read it really quickly, and that's always a good sign. I think when you read a script and you get through it very quickly, it means you were involved. So it was, it was entertaining, and I just loved the world and the characters.
I mean, it's based in history, and obviously it's a serial drama, so there's got to be something left to artistic interpretation. But do you know how much time has been taken to actually sort of factually get it correct historically?
Yeah, I know they've got a historian that they work with, and he's the go-to guy when they're in doubt about something. And then the source material, I think, just gives you a lot. But they were definitely accurate in certain things. You know, like if you're in a garden and there's tomatoes, you kind of go, "Did they have tomatoes back in those days?" So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So you got to make sure you don't, make mistakes.
And how, you're working on, is it a 10-part drama, so how far in advance do you all get your scripts to actually work on?
Oh, there's a question. Well, not always as often as early as we'd like them a lot of the time, because there's obviously when we're shooting, we've always got our own input and interpretations and ideas. So we're constantly backwards and forwards with the writing team and the producers, trying to get things. If there's things that we'd like to change or whatever. So it's a collaboration in that sense. But sometimes it could be anything up to 4 or 5 days. Sometimes it could be a week. Sometimes a fortnight. We tend to get the earlier episodes slightly sooner than we do the later ones, purely because the guide for the later episodes is there, but the finished product isn't yet. So,
and obviously the Musketeers are a very strong team, and there's a close knit. What characteristics do each of the characters bring to make that team complete and as successful as they are? If I can start with Howard, what is it about Porthos?
Well,
apart from
what
his
you
charm.
see is what you get. No. But Porthos is a very fundamentally is a warrior, full of integrity, and yeah, playing the character, really humbles me, and I've learned a lot about myself playing the character. But if I had to give it a word, the thing that Porthos brings, it would indeed, of course, be fire. Yeah.
Santiago.
I think you know, when we all met at boot camp, it was a very good sign that they picked each one individually very well, because you believe that we were all friends and that we've known each other for a long time, but then we were all very distinct from each other, very different. I think a lot of that comes for nothing just as people, so that's very important, because you've got to be distinguishable within a group. So I kind of think there's you know, just sitting here, I'm sure people can tell the difference. So I think it's for the audience to say.
Especially with me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Luke.
Your chair legs are going like that. I think, I mean, for me personally, you know, D'Artagnan kind of started out in the show as not as a musketeer, so he kind of had to kind of work his way up the ranks to become part of the regiment. So he kind of brings like a kind of a naivety and a vulnerability that the boys haven't, but the boys have kind of surpassed now. And he's kind of like the young buck, you know. So he's still got a lot to learn, and he brings this kind of, he's very kind of a little bit like Porthos, really. He's kind of got like this appetite for justice, this kind of like fire burning inside him for justice.
And can I get to Milady? What a great part this must be for a woman. I mean, she's a real piece of work, and I kind of and great. I would have thought to play. I mean, she reminds me very much of kind of Lady Macbeth, and for me, watching the old film The Wicked Lady, as Margaret Lockwood and James Mason, this woman who's got no integrity really, and she's just out for what she can get. I mean, what?
Well, that's interesting, because I think she has a lot of integrity. But when I in terms of influence, Adrian Hodges pointed me in the direction of La Femme Nikita, the Luc Besson film, because that. So it's interesting to see a character quite like Milady in a more modern capacity. In the film, she is a feral teenage junkie who gets imprisoned for murder and then is trained to be this highly skilled assassin. So there was a lot of similarity in the background and in the polish that was put onto her, and to kind of perform as such in a much more like emotionless way, and to get all of that complexity in there as well. So that was a good kind of start point. But she's very different in this second series. What the journey she goes on, I think it will be quite a surprise to the audience, because there's so many layers to her. You know, she's constantly has been running away from her past, and it's come to a point where it's all kind of catching up with her. So she's having to face a lot of that.
It's interesting that you talk about being on a journey as well. Is it interesting for you guys, because you've got a luxury with TV of time, where you don't have with a play or with a film, where you can really get into the bones of the character and really form a bond with it? Is that something that's also attracted you to playing the parts?
Oh, hugely. I mean, that's probably the one thing that's the biggest attraction, actually. You know, alongside, you know, working with these great guys, of course. But it's really important. You know, the nature of the hero has changed, and we need to, you know, as a populace, identify with what it is to be the hero. And it's not just about wearing capes and, you know, having like kind of like lasers coming out of your eyes and things like that. You know, we need to identify with who these people are, what makes them tick, in order to learn something about ourselves. And in order to be inspired by that, in order to then go forth in your own life and make good, you know. And it's hard to do that when you're watching Superman rather than Porthos. No.
Is it, Luke, was that something that attracted you as well?
I can't really elaborate any more than what Howard said. You know, I think he's explained all there, but obviously I'd say D'Artagnan, not Porthos.
Huh? I say D'Artagnan every time, mate. Love you.
Love you too, mate. Love you too.
And I think there's plenty of love out there as well. Am I right, ladies? It's interesting as well, Luke, what you touched upon earlier on, that you have actually been able to contribute to the trajectory of your characters. Is that quite unique for TV?
I mean, it kind of depends on it. It depends on the show, really. The thing about TV is you don't, where it differs to kind of maybe working in theatre or on a movie, you don't get very much time to shoot. You know, we shoot 2 55-minute episodes in 5 weeks, and you know, kind of so much gets cut anyway. So you're filming all day, very long days, and then kind of, you know, a good maybe 20% of what we shoot doesn't even make it into the final edit. So it's kind of there's a lot of work doing all the time. So you have to be very selective about what you choose to bring up and what you choose to kind of make a point about and what you choose to kind of ask to be changed in a way, you know. So it's kind of, you have to kind of choose your moments and choose your and kind of pick your battles wisely. But you know, it's a yeah. I do. So it's so yeah. So it kind of it is absolutely a collaboration, but you kind of, you know, obviously with everybody's got a lot of work to do. So you kind of just try and pick and choose your moments, really.
Are we ready to see a bit more of the Musketeers? Okay, let's roll VT.
That's where Santiago strips.
If I can just sort of briefly go back to the first series, I think one of the things I liked in particular was this backstory that had been threaded through about each character. For me, it was a great opportunity for the audiences to, you know, see the humanity in the person actually and get to know them better. Is that something that you also found within the script? If I can start with Mamie.
Yeah, it's vital, I think. When you've got, you know, sweeping adventures and battles and romance and stuff going on, you have to underpin it with something which is real and which is human. And I think, particularly going into the second series, that's what's developing even more. All those seeds that have been kind of planted there in the first one, we've really kind of brought them to life, and that's where you start to really get to know the person, for good and bad. You know, you kind of dig up things, really nasty, horrible, dirty things about yourself as well. You know, all the characters do. And I think that kind of creates this world underneath all of the swashbuckle and stuff. You know, swashbuckle.
It's not that easy to say, is it?
It's really hard. I don't think I've actually said it out loud before. Swashbuckle. Rubbish word.
Santiago, was that something that you connected to as well? Was this backstory?
Yeah, that was the way the characters were introduced in the first episode of first season, the pilot episode was. I love that because the Musketeers, they're a group, but you meet D'Artagnan, you see his impulsive nature. He's lost his father. Then you meet Athos with a hangover, and he picks up Porthos, who's gambling and cheating, and then they go to Aramis, who's in bed with the Cardinal's mistress. So it's sort of you see the flawed nature of these. They're the heroes, but in a way you see each of their flaws, and I just loved how each one was picked out individually, so you got to know them, and then the story can really get going because you immediately get a sense of them individually. It's vital for the series, and I think the great thing about now the second is that serialized aspect is pushed even more, so that you get to find out the more you stick with it, the more you find out about them. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other interesting thing that I thought, particularly this day and age where we've got reality TV and there's this hunger for instant fame, we see this sort of slow trajectory for D'Artagnan and him having to really earn his stripes. And I wonder whether that's also a positive message to send out to audiences, that, you know, it's not a bad thing to work hard for what you get.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, a lot of the time it takes, you know, especially like in D'Artagnan's story as well, I can't remember if it actually made it into the cut, but there was a line there where Treville offers him a place as you know, he's saying, you know, you could come and be a musketeer within the regiment, but you're going to have to work hard for it. You know, how do you feel? And he says, that's what my father always wanted for me. And I don't think D'Artagnan didn't, you know, I don't think he'd really given too much thought about whether he was even going to consider being a musketeer until his father passed away. It was almost like his destiny to kind of fulfill his father's dream for him, you know. And I don't think, and now he's actually a musketeer, I don't think he'd look back in any way, because he's found a family in people that he was once looking to kill, you know. It's kind of like the irony of it, you know. But it's you know, I think you know, now he's well involved. He's kind of, you know, and he's lost his father. His family are these guys, you know. So.
Yeah, exactly. And what's it like working with the weapons? Because you're working with all different types. I mean, you're not just musketeers, are you? I mean, you've got rapiers, pistols, and well, I mean, you must go through sort of intensive training for that. Harry, can I ask?
But yes, we do. But it's fighting, certainly on stage or on screen, is very much like learning a language. and you start off, learning the alphabet, and then, you go through the vowels and the consonants, and then you start saying phrases. And before long, you're putting sentences together, and then you can start having a conversation. And so that's kind of the pattern that we kind of go through in order to, do what we do. But yeah, so it's a very rewarding experience, because we've, in my humble opinion, I'm sure I speak for everyone, we have probably the best stunt team in Europe, if not the world, working with us, and it helps that they are actually Musketeers, or as close as you can get in this day and age, and so yeah. But it's to kind of steal a phrase from Santiago, it's a dance, and you kind of learn to move together, and you learn what you're good at and what you need to work on, and and there's a few tricks along the way as well, so yeah.
And Mamie, can I ask about the female characters? So, because they are really well written, aren't they? They've all got strength and courageousness, and it must be very refreshing for you to be able to play parts like that.
Well, I think it's tricky with this kind of genre and with period pieces when you look at female characters, because of, if we're going to really look at what the world was like then, women had no voice and were second-class citizens and were very much kind of quashed. I know Howard thinks it should still be like that. He does, actually.
No.
He does.
You can't hang me out like that. I wasn't saying that at all.
So you have to... Thank you. That was the intended response. For a modern audience, you have to create women who have a spirit and are fallible. So, we're, as all the characters are, you have to create that kind of complexity within them. But I think Constance, the Queen, and Milady, they each occupy a different area of society, and they kind of represent things, and they're all kind of trapped within their own worlds as well. But there is a fight, and there's a resourcefulness, and a humour, and a spirit to kind of break away from that, and to almost kind of recreate some kind of roles. I think it's vital in this for a bit of balance as well.
If I can add something to that too, actually, I think it's also a testament to the ladies we have playing those parts in the show, because as you'll see, as you stick with season 2, all of their journeys become so much more involved and revealing. And you can't kind of just give that to anyone, because not everyone can do it. And so that's why I say it's a testament to the guys who are playing those parts, because I think writers get inspired by the work that the players do, right?
Actors,
so
yeah.
exactly, someone hits Ronaldo an amazing pass, and the beauty of the pass means I have to control that in a certain way, and then score a great goal, because the pass warrants that, right? As Santiago did in Soccer Aid, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Nicely set up there.
Without the pass, Seedorf cannot score the hat-trick. So my point is, without Mamie, you do not have Milady as you see her now. So well done.
Yeah, and I mean, even the antagonists as well. Actually, you've got the Cardinal, and now you've got Rochefort. I mean, you've got two phenomenal actors there as well that are able to bring such complexity and dimensions to they're not just baddies, are they? You're constantly kept on your toes with them, which I think is also power to the performers that are inhabiting them.
Definitely, yeah. I think a lot of the bad guys that we have in the show are worthy adversaries, and it's much better than just the I don't know, some random baddie that you just go, I'll stab him and then it's done. There's a cost to taking a human life.
Do you need help?
And on that note, I think it's time to put some questions out to the audience. I think we have some microphones. Yes, excellent. There's a lady just at the front in the red, please. Thank you.
Hey guys, absolutely love the show. My question is, what's your most embarrassing moment on set or off set?
None of your business.
Did you say none of your business?
What was it? There's obviously the horse. Well, that's season 1, but yeah. That was very embarrassing, wasn't it, Luke?
I'll let Howard tell that story. Go ahead, go on.
Shall I cut the long story short? Yeah, let's do that. Okay,
I think
so
they're embarrassed.
D'Artagnan here. Luke, sorry, D'Artagnan. Right, so...
Howard never drops character.
Yeah, right. So, I'm getting in it. It's because I'm watching... Yeah, anyway, right. So, Luke, as well as D'Artagnan, feels that the best way to stay onto a horse is to hold it by the neck. Use your imagination to envisage what happens next.
Thanks, Luke.
I was embarrassed for him.
It was kind of. You're gonna explain the story, right? So basically, it was our boot camp season 1, and we were, and it was a little bit wet outside, and we'd been told that it was, and there was a tree trunk that had just been just stub that had been obviously a tree had just recently been cut down, and there's a very clear path of where the horses should go, and I think it was definitely my fault. I didn't kind of steer the horse properly, and it looked like it was going straight into this tree trunk, and I was like, I don't want to come off this horse. I was like very new to me. I was still very nervous, and the horse kind of like started to kind of like do this sort of business. So it was kind of like buckling backwards and forwards, and it kind of like threw me forwards, and then it threw me back, threw me forwards again, threw me back, and then the only way that I could hold on without falling flat on my face was to just grab onto this horse's neck like a tree trunk in a hurricane, and just not let go for dear life. And it kind of like, and Howard was right behind me at the time, so he got the best view of it, and he still does not let me live it down to this day. So that was probably one of my, and I it was at the time we didn't know each other very well either, so I was kind of like, I don't want to make myself fall in front of these guys, so it's kind of like, it was one of those situations, but yeah.
That was great, mate.
Oh, thank you very much.
Next question.
Hi. So I was wondering, as an aspiring actor, what did each of you do to get to this point in your career, and what advice do you have for someone trying to follow in your footsteps?
Who would like to answer that one?
I did everything to get to this point, apart from sleep.
Do what
with
Milady does.
certain directors. It's fine. Everyone does it. You have to think about the big picture, because it's you have to be in for the long game, I think, if you really want to do it, because it's not easy. It's taken me about 15 years to get here, so with a lot of graft, doing some really shit films, spending most of my time as a waitress, and but also what's brilliant, I've kind of learnt my craft as well in that time, doing things people probably or hopefully haven't seen. So I've made a lot of mistakes, which I think was a good thing. You have to love it. You have to be very passionate about it, and to be quite real. But everybody has a completely different journey. You could ask all the guys how they've got here. Luke started really young. You didn't go to drama school. How is they're all drama school boys, and it's a very individual journey. So there's no kind of, and it's easy to kind of read interviews with people when they get their lucky break at 21 and it all kind of, blows up and goes crazy and stuff. But for the majority of actors or jobbing actors, it's not like that. So it's good to get a handle on actually what the profession is like. And then when you get there, it's brilliant. And a lot of hard work. And you thank your lucky stars you're there. So it's, it's good.
And is there another one?
I think it's also about faith. You say you're an aspiring actor or actress, whichever way you'd like to say it. I'm not sure what's your preference, but it is about faith. Faith in yourself. I think fundamentally, because make friends with rejection right now, make friends with doubt, but fundamentally keep spinning the plates. Because if you stop, then they all fall and smash, and you don't get a kind of second set. You know what I mean? So yeah, just keep spinning the plates and just have a bit more of a kind of, I don't know, what works for me is a bit more of a kind of, excuse my French, but like a fuck you approach kind of thing, So yeah, if I say it, it can be done. Because the fact is that everyone in this room is capable of things that they cannot yet comprehend. We all are. and that's where the self-belief and the faith in yourself comes in. And that'll be the difference between some of you making it home tonight and some of you not. So yeah.
Luke, Santiago, do you want to add anything to that?
I think kind of like just to elaborate on what they've said. Really, there is no right or wrong way. It's kind of like Mamie said. I didn't go to drama school. Howard went to drama school. Yeah, Santiago did. Tom did, but they went to different drama schools. And it's kind of everyone has their own journey, and everyone will get a different break at a different time, if at all. But like what Howard said, you just keep spinning the plates and just keep going and never. The one thing that it's taught me, being in this industry, it's my 7th year now. As a professional actor, and it's taught me that you are going to get a lot more knockbacks than you are successes, and it's a real test of resilience, and it's kind of that basically defines who you are as a person. Kind of being able. It's not who was it that said was it Rocky? It's not how many times you can. It's not how many times you can hit. It's how many times you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that's basically what it is. Just carry on, crack on, just keep moving, and just kind of Howard said, take that fuck you approach to anything that hits you and just smash it out of the way and just keep moving forward. And you will get down, it will cut you up at sometimes, but it's just keep moving, keep going. I went 2.5 years without getting a job, and then I got my first job, and it's been good ever since, so it's just keep battling, push forward for sure.
Time for 2 more questions. There's a lady is it pink? I'm not sure if it's pink or the lights. I might burst into lady in red, and you really don't want to do that.
Hello, Musketeers. Hello, Mamie.
Hello.
I'd like to ask, can you name one thing that you'd like to see happen to your character in season 3? And Santiago, feel free to answer in Spanish.
Por favor.
Bueno, me encantaría que ahora mis... No, I know it's a very good question, but there's so much to explore. I think that's where the collaboration comes in, which we were talking about earlier with the writers. I mean, I think you take the characters to a certain place, and then so many new doors could open. There's so many new options. So I don't want to give anything away of what happens at the end of the second. So if I do sort of go into that, I might. But I think it's about just keeping the team tight, which we are. I think all good shows, you need to be like a family and a tight unit where everyone's voice is heard, and we have had that, and we're already starting to talk to writers in the hopes that we will go back and just keep that relationship going, that collaboration going, and good things will come out of it.
Go on. Okay.
Look at chivalry.
Rock, paper, scissors for answers first.
All right.
On 3. No, so it's 1, 2, 3, go. Right.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Right. Hey.
So what I was going to say originally was...
Go for it.
Speak.
So, I mean, exactly kind of what Santiago said, really. But for me, I'd kind of like to see my character just do a complete 360, and kind of just go somewhere that even he wouldn't have expected himself to go, and just kind of take a journey in the completely opposite direction, however the writers may want to interpret that, or however you guys might want to interpret it, just something completely the opposite of who D'Artagnan is at the moment would be good for me. Yeah.
Howard.
Okay. I think I'd like to see. I'd really like to explore the part of Porthos that has a significant other, and really fall in love with a woman. But I'd like the relationship to be challenging, because not all relationships are are kind of about rolling in the hay. Well, they are in the garrison anyway. But yeah. I'd like to see there be a kind of a comment on, how relationships are within the real world, and kind of have one of those. So maybe there'd be a kid involved as well. Porthos be a daddy or something. I think, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Well, can you follow that one up, Mamie?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say anything.
It's he's Malayan Porthos baby.
That's good. You're about the only one I haven't slept with yet, so...
I don't think you can handle it, love.
Oh, maybe. Bring it on, baby. I mean, kind of as Santi said, I can't really. I feel like if I say anything, it's going to give away something of where she goes in this second one, because it's so far from how she started in the first one. So I'm going to have to keep tight-lipped on that one, I think.
Okay, fair
Sorry.
enough. And final question to the gentleman in the red jumper just there, please.
Hello, I'm here instead of my sister who couldn't be here today. She's asked me to ask this question. Is it still difficult to run in high heels? Or has the new series presented other difficulties for you as actors?
You said they're in high heels.
So which one
For
of
a
you's
start,
wearing high
we need
heels?
we need to clear
who's
this
wearing
now.
heels?
Like, we don't wear high heels. There are some Cuban heels, but and also some of us are not elevated, by the way. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, no. It's
heels.
challenging to run in you know manure and mud and things like that. But yeah, the heel isn't really a problem, right? I mean, it's not. I
I'm
mean,
just so grateful
blessed.
that you were here to ask your sister's question. Because, you know, what would we have done without that question? It does get easier, but we do have some trainers sometimes for certain very difficult moments. But it's always
rock climbing, things like that. Just
rock climbing, yeah. But it's always difficult, but we're up for a challenge, aren't we? It never gets easy.
Are the costumes actually in general challenging?
Well, they're very heavy,
Yeah,
but
they look it.
you know, it is, you know, it would have been like that in the time, but there was always, you've got to make sure that you can still be agile in them. So I think at first I would say they were restricting, but then you just get used to them. But then they've also got you sort of feel strong in them as well. So I think they give you a lot for nothing as well. But yeah, there's definitely the weight issue, yeah.
I trip over mine
gonna say-
all the time. I can't walk anywhere. There was the first scene we had when I come up the steps of the gun. The gun was really heavy, and we hadn't accounted for me lifting my arm in my dress. So my arm went to there, and I couldn't step up. I kept standing on my dress because I just have like billowing fabric all the time. So practically, it's quite hard, and I wear heels, and it's a nightmare.
You can't finish your costume without a costume assistant coming to help you tie it all up and stuff, can you?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
They look
It's
quite
normally me.
futuristic.
neither can you though.
Do you
That's
think
what-
so?
yeah, there's
Okay.
something kind of very traditional, but there's the cut of the garments
That's
look very
interesting.
futuristic, which I rather like.
Yeah, they because it's nothing strictly period. I mean, they've obviously like kind of done, you know, a whole wealth of kind of background on actual period costumes and stuff. But a lot of mine are quite kind of McQueen inspired and Westwood, and so there's lots of high fashion. I mean, the mood boards that Phoebe, our costume designer, started with were, I mean, it's one of my favourite bits of the process anyway. It's brilliant. But she had loads of Westwood, which is all very incredibly sensual, very feminine. It's all about the waist. It kind of lends itself to that period as well, whilst also finding something very practical for Milady's costumes. And because she's such a chameleon, most of my costumes do a whole kind of variety of stuff. So I'll have a hood and then a cloak, and then it'll whip back so I can get on a horse, and I've got breeches, and they're kind of multifaceted.
You've got like a holster too, right, for the gun.
Yeah, I got my holster. Yeah.
Ladies and
sexy.
gentlemen, please give a huge, huge, huge round of applause for our Musketeers.
Thank you.
Thank you.